Let's hit it.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori La Bey, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
All right, here we go. What you think about, you will bring about the mental change. We will.
Welcome back to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. If you enjoyed the opening music, it's called Clarion Call by the Mark Arneson Band, featuring My Adore. And you can download it on any of your favorite platforms. For those of you that are new to Alzheimer's sound information, not just sound bites, our goal is to raise all voices, big and small, all around the world. So that means people who are diagnosed, those that care and serve them, advocates, researchers, and more. And I always have to thank you, our listeners. You see, your likes, your clicks, and shares have broadened our footprint big time all around the world. And so I just want you to know how much we appreciate your likes, your clicks, your shares. You truly are making a big difference, not just for us, but for all the people needing this sound information, not just with Alzheimer Speaks Radio, but our blog, our YouTube channel, our events, and so much more. So I hope you continue again to go to alzheimerspeaks.com and like and click and share and spread the word of our work. That's what we're about, building a sense of community, sharing knowledge that can help all of us. And I think that's really the only way we're going to win the battle against Alzheimer's disease and dementia, is working together. Now, before I introduce our guest today, I always have to give a shout out to the Memory Cafe directory because I adore them. For those of you that don't know what a Memory Cafe is, it's a support group. I like to call it really a gathering of friends versus a support group for people diagnosed and their care partners. And they're just fascinating. They're all a little bit different. There's over 900 of them now, but you can find them on Memory Cafe directory. And given that we're in the midst of COVID-19, you know, people aren't gathering, but many have converted to virtual cafes, like mine, the one that I do for Arthur's Memory Cafe in Minnesota. And you don't have to be in Minnesota to join us. So please go to Memory Cafe directory and you'll find more information out there. You can also go to our main website, Alzheimer Speaks, and find out information about recent shows like you're listening to now. You can find out about dementia chats, which are facilitated conversations I do with those experts living with the disease, and also our dementia quick tips and some events. I want to give a shout out to Coral Health because they're doing something cool during COVID. They are allowing people to download the Music First app and Coral Faith app for free. And last, I want to just give a big shout out to the GAIN Alzheimer's trial. And, you know, this is a great opportunity for people who are diagnosed with Alzheimer's and who have a care partner who are between 55 and 80 to really make a difference. So go to gaintrial.com. That's gaintrial.com.
Well, I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest today, but instead of me introducing them, I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves because they can do such a better job. These two are icons around the world. They're doing fabulous, fabulous work. And so we are really, really thrilled to have Norrms, McNamara and Jane Moore with us. And Norrms, I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself first, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. Hello, everybody. My name's Norrms McNamara. I'm the founder of the Global Purple Angel Dementia Campaign. And I was diagnosed with dementia it will be 11 years ago now. We believe in community. We believe in the roots and the ground roots of people making a change from there, because all the way through history, changes have been made by the people and not by the governments. And this is what we do with the Purple Angel. And then one of the main things that we do with the Purple Angel is it's absolutely free. Whatever we do is absolutely free. We don't charge, and it's quite unique around the world, but we're proud to do so.
Well, and what's interesting about the Purple Angel, just for those that didn't know, is Norrms was told like multiple times that this is never going to work. It's never going to fly. And we're going to dive deeper, and you're going to hear how far and wide and how many people are involved with this as ambassadors. I mean, it's really, really been something. Jane, do you want to give people a little background on yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I live about 2 hours journey from Norrms, and we met on the internet on a dementia aware site. I was caring for my mum at the time, and he was asking for somebody to make him a logo for raising awareness around his shops. So I doodled an angel, if you can see that all right.
Yep.
That was the original angel, and Norm added some flair to it, and together we've contrived the Purple Angel global movement.
Yeah, it's just been unbelievable. I've met both of these two, needless to say, on the internet, because I'm in the U.S. and they are across the pond, as we say. Norrms, I want to ask you just to give people a little bit of background about your dementia, what you were originally diagnosed with, and where you're at with things right now.
Yeah, I was originally diagnosed with the Alzheimer's type disease, but because the hallucinations were becoming more prominent and the night terrors, I was very lucky. I had a wonderful consultant who got me readmitted and retested, and we had a specialist consultant came down from Newcastle where they'd done some research in Lewy bodies, and once he's seen me, he diagnosed me with the Lewy bodies type dementia and not the Alzheimer's type. This, I always say, it's a beast of a disease, but each type is just as bad as each other. I don't think there's any worse than the other. Each is as bad as each other. But the Lewy body disease can be quite different, because you can be quite cognitive and quite well at different parts of the day, but as the sun goes down, as in sundown, and then the evening, you become quite unwell. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's not every night. It can be some nights, or it could be 7 nights on the trot. I hallucinate, which is not dreaming. It's when I'm awake and I see people and things that aren't there. When I have night terrors, it's on the XXX scale. It's not anything like you've seen at the movies, things that I don't really talk about, apart from my wife. And even then, I don't. Sometimes it's that bad I don't talk about them. When you go visiting people and you're staying over, in the good old days when we could stay over at other people's houses, Jane herself has heard me scream and shout during the night when we stayed at the cottage, you know. I've been nearly 11 years now, and at the moment, you know, these past few months have been tough. You know, it's getting harder and harder. But I can't complain, because I've had so long compared to some. And there are so many people who've had this 20, 25 years and longer, you know, and God bless them. You know, and I hope it lasts even longer than, you know, they do well for longer than that. So I have no complaints, apart from don't shout at me because I'm doing well, you know. And I will never apologize for doing well. So
Yeah, and when just so people know, when he says don't shout at me, Norrms has been attacked and bullied on the internet, as many have been. And people are shocked when they hear that. Well, why would somebody do that? And it's because it's an invisible disease and people don't see all the symptoms all the time. And so some people think that it's a sham because he's walking and talking and he's, you know, heading up this movement, and how can that be? And it's really quite sad. And as an advocate myself, to hear some of these stories that so many have been bullied is quite sad. And so we just need more education, you know, that makes me take a stand even more, you know, to get things changed and get people's to understand, what the disease is like. Others, I think, sometimes get upset because maybe their loved one isn't doing as well for as long, and they think everyone who has it should be on the same schedule as their loved one. And I think one of the things we all understand very well is, everybody goes through this disease different. That's a person diagnosed, that's the family members, that's the doctors and the care workers. I mean, it's everybody has different impressions and things. So, but I just wanted to clarify that, because your work is so important, and it's just amazing what you've accomplished.
Well, people, like yourself and other people have said, like, as you quite rightly said early on, when we began this, and up to a few years ago, they said it will never take off. It will never, ever take off because of the way you're doing it, because we're doing it for free, because we raise all our own funds, because we ask people to join in, we ask them to do it for free. And of course, we proved them all wrong, from Lords, from MPs, members of parliaments. I've had sat across the table and said, you can't do it like that, Norm. It won't work like that. I would love to meet them again maybe one day and say, oh yes, it does, because we've proved that we have.
Well,
we can. We're the only people who hold a World Rock Against Dementia on a global scale every year, and have done for 7 years. And people around the world, thousands upon thousands of people around the world join in. This has never ever been done before. And we don't want the recognition for it. We don't want the plaudits. We just want to carry on doing what we're doing and hopefully get more countries and more people involved. We didn't have one this year for obvious reasons, for safety reasons because of COVID, but we're building up to next year, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be all right by then. We've already got interest from around the world, and it's becoming very exciting even now, and it's only June. And this is all what people said we couldn't do, Well, Jane will tell you better probably than me that we have well over 1,000 ambassadors worldwide in so many different countries. And I really do think, and I don't mind saying this, and I know my steering group won't mind me saying this, but even they, I don't think, grasp how big the Purple Angel is, because they still think, oh, it's Devon, it's UK. I don't think they really fully understand what goes on around the world, but we're getting there. We're convincing them.
Well, and I think the beauty of the Purple Angel is that you've made it simple and you've allowed people to be creative. And to me, that's one of the biggest problems we have in industry and in business is we scout and dub down the creativity, and for people to try out new ideas or leverage what they're good at. And you've allowed that to happen. And so people feel empowered, they feel heard, they see the difference, and and they pull in all their resources. And a lot of times it's not money that's needed, it's voices, it's contacts, it's, inroads, it's ideas, it's people to do some of the grunt work, and people don't mind doing any of that when they feel that they're a part in making a difference. I also think, one of the big things too is, a lot of the larger organizations are always after money, and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And you give the money, but you don't really know what's happening with the money. And it's writing a check. It's not necessarily, I don't want to say it's not heartfelt, because for some it is, but some it's not. Some it's kind of writing away their guilt. But, with this, people are, they're in it at a whole different level, and they're excited about it. And that's how the conversation to me has just expanded, understanding that just having a conversation is one of the most important things we can do.
Yeah, and the excitement and enthusiasm that comes along with it. They are big companies, they do things, they say they do things, then sometimes you don't see the end result. With the Purple Angel, we like to say we're doing something, when we do it, we do it. And then we tell people what we've done and what the results are. and it's worked. And if it's not, we're very honest and said, no, that didn't work. You know, it didn't quite come off. But, you know, as luck has it, a lot of stuff we've done has worked well. But that's because I always have a saying, if you surround yourself with good people, then good things happen.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing is, you know, the way you and Jane work is you're really fluid.
I would be lost without her.
You know, it's, and that to me makes a really, really big difference. Jane, why don't you tell us a little bit about your history, if you don't mind, you know, with your own mother and how you got involved in the world of dementia.
Yeah. My mother came to live with us in Cornwall in the UK in 2005. In 2006, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and vascular type dementia. So I was not prepared to care. And I think there are many around the world who are in the situation that I found myself in. I have a husband, I had a life, and it was all wiped out in one go. Nobody can really be prepared for what it's like to care for your parent or sibling or whatever. I have worked in a care home, and it's not the same. It's extremely different. Mum and I started off raising awareness together in Campbellford, where we live, and Mum gave a lovely interview on the television. She told the world that you could cure dementia by drawing, and in a strange way, you can do a lot towards helping yourself if you have something that you have joy in doing, whether it be singing, whether it be art, gardening. We did a lot of gardening together. My husband coined the phrase, when somebody asked him what a plant was from the garden, he'd say, oh, well, you know, how do you plant it? He'd say, oh, green side up. Well, my mum insisted on putting the green side down when we were potting on seedlings. And we had fun together. It was great fun. We had a cat sat in the hanging basket. And I think if you make joy in your lives, if you can, then I think that goes a long way towards helping you to understand and to give that empathy that they need, and keep active, keep involved. And that's what we did. And we walked around the shops. We prepared a bulletin for all the shops. I visit over 700 shops and businesses here every year, with a little bit more dementia information each time. I had to stop carting my mum around, if you like, because she would tell everybody that she had that Alzheimer's once, and I didn't feel my message was quite getting across. But love her, you know, she was smashing, and we had some good fun. I saw a very different side of my own mother. I know what she did behind the bike shed when she was younger. I really want to know that kind of thing. But you meet a different person. It was quite an experience. And she passed away 4 years ago, so she was 10 years with her dementia. And I've managed to rescue the marriage. That's okay now, thanks to a very, very good, solid husband. But for 10 years, he struggled with it the same as I did. We couldn't go out anywhere. Mum wouldn't have anyone in to care for her at all. And if we went out, it was a disaster. She'd be walking about on icy pavements in her nightie. I just couldn't leave her for 10 years. And I don't think anybody realizes the impact that it has on the whole family. So that's my story. I became co-founder with Norrms, and I support him in whatever we can do, you know, but really and truly, it's the ambassadors. And there are many more than 1,000 now, because a lot of people don't come back to me and say, yes, I am an ambassador. They take the information and they run with it. Some have downloaded from Alzheimer's Speaks, obviously, and they do their own thing. So I have actually no idea how many ambassadors exactly there are. I can prove about 1,020. But without them, there would be no Purple Angel. So my thanks goes to every single one of them. And whichever way they're working, they're all raising awareness. Most of them are carers or people with dementia. They have experience, and that is the valuable thing, the experience, really.
Well, and I think one of the things too that I love about what you guys do is, you're not focused on the numbers. And I think so many times corporations are focused on the numbers. And when you focus on the numbers, your outcomes a lot of times can be very, very different, and you can be misunderstood. Those numbers can be interpreted in many ways. And I'll use myself as an example. For those of you that don't know, my mom had dementia for 30 years, and that's how I got into this space, because I felt that we could do better. I thought that that there had to be more people like myself and my family. And my mom's been gone for 6 years now. And, I look back and think not all that much has changed, but yet a lot has changed. But we have a long, long ways to go. But a lot of the change has really happened even on a more significant scale, just even in the last 5 years. And I've been doing this about 10 now. But, for me, you could look at like Google Analytics and go, oh, what's Alzheimer's Speaks numbers? And they don't look all that great. But yet in, 2012, Dr. Oz did a different type of matrix, and he really kind of followed who grabbed what information and how far did it go out. And you haven't had somebody do that with the Purple Angel. But I think if you did, you'd find a similar thing. And they were like shocked at how far things traveled. But it was because I think we're all talking from an authentic voice. We're all trying to help. We're all saying you too can help. Every person at every level can make a difference. And you allow them to do that. And that to me is the significance in really making change and empowering people. And they're just so excited to get this information. If it's the Purple Angel, if it's the Memory Cafe, if it's your MP3s, which we'll talk about all these things, people just get so excited. But I'm sure you guys hear this too. I'll have people call up and say, our group, we're looking at doing a Purple Angel. And I'll never forget one woman, and she says, I really want to do this, but my group says I can't. I can't be a facilitator. And I said, well, why is that? And she says, well, I'm not a nurse and I'm not a social worker. And I said, so? And she said, well, they said, and I said, no, people don't want necessarily a medical model. They want a place that they're accepted, they're understood, and they're looked at like a person. And by the time we were done with our conversation, she was so excited. She's like, I can do this. I'm going back. I mean, because she had been so beat up, told that it had to be done a certain way. And, and I find that fascinating. The other thing I find fascinating too is a lot of times you'll get groups and they're so excited. Everybody wants to be involved, let's say in the Memory Cafe. But, sometimes that overwhelms the cafe because there's more of them than there are people. And that can get uncomfortable in stuff too. So, but it's fun to see the enthusiasm, behind everything. And when things are free and people are doing it out of the goodness of their heart, you don't have to necessarily worry about, well, what if we don't get funding next year? That's off the plate because people are there for a different reason.
They do it because they want to do it.
Yeah.
We don't look at them as employees or anything like that. They're friends of ours, the volunteers. And I think people have got to remember, whatever volunteer, whatever organisation it is, I think they've got to remember that that's exactly what they are, volunteers. They are giving their own free time up. So they don't have to stick by whatever. They don't have to, we're all sensible, we're all grown-ups. We all know what's right and what's wrong. And I think to give them that freedom to explore and to do things different and say to us, hey, Norrms, I'd like to try this next week. Is that okay? And we'll say, yeah, great, run with it. And it's a huge success. When I was working, when I was employed, I was a manager, and I applied the same thing with the staff. I empowered them. You know, I said, well, how would you like to see your section? How would you like to see it work? Go and sort it all out and come and talk to me and see if you can sort it all out. How would you like to order your own things in your section? You know what's there, I don't. You know what's bestseller, what's not. Why don't you take over the ordering a little bit? And it empowers them, and then they take a pride in what they do. So what we did, we applied that, or I applied that to the Purple Angel thesis, and saying this is what we should do. We should give the people the power to say, listen, do what you do best. Or as they said in one famous movie, go do that voodoo that you do so well. You know, just do it, let them do it. And then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you advise them and we try another way. But it's great because it gives them a freedom, you know, and it gives them that levity. It gives them that that they really enjoy because they know they can explore different avenues. And I think that's the difference between probably the Purple Angel and maybe some others.
Yeah. Jane, can you explain to people what the Purple Angel is and how they get it and how you're updating people?
Right. With the Purple Angel, we send out a letter to begin with to anybody who wants to become an ambassador. We give information on how to visit shops and businesses by taking information to those shops. And then a couple of weeks later, you return, and if all staff have read the information, they get a Purple Angel sticker for their window. It's very simple, but not all ambassadors raise awareness in that way. That's just a lead in, and it's a very good way to get a community to back you, to be behind you. Some of our ambassadors run memory cafes, as you well know. I run my own Top Town Memory Cafe. We have about 40 people there. We are postponed at the moment, but we are working online for those who have a computer. And I find that's quite difficult because the age group we're dealing with, a lot of people don't want to use a computer at all. We've tried various computer sessions at the cafe, and they're just really not interested. So it's very difficult to get in touch with people while this COVID is on. But we've also been sending out a regular monthly quiz newsletter to everybody. We've sent little Be Happy bags we've sent out. And we're just in the process now of sending out a raffle ticket each month for a hamper, which is delivered with social distancing, of course, just to try and keep the cafe alive. And I think it's working. The people are really looking forward to coming back.
Well, that's good. I know, I had heard about the memory cafes, of course, through Norrms, and then you connected me with David Light, who's no longer with us, and he is so gracious. I mean, and I was just amazed because here in the U.S., everything is bought and paid for, I mean, everything's proprietary. I shouldn't say everything, but a heck of a lot of it is. And he was, he rewrote the guidelines and took your S's out and put our Z's back in and what terms you use for this. And, we, when I started the Memory Cafe that I have, we did it a little bit differently because we didn't have funding and things. And it took us a while to get it off the ground because people didn't know what it was. And I hate to even call it a support group, though it's a lovely support group, but to me it's really a gathering of friends. Yeah. And the difference in the mentality of the group is pretty huge. Like originally we thought we'd do some education and then we'd kind of do some chit chat. And our group, and again, what I love about it is, you allow people the flexibility to do what their community needs. And so for our group, they said, we don't need the education part. There's a lot of education we know that's going on. We don't necessarily know where it is. If you can gather that and give it to us, we'll go to those things. But we just really enjoy talking with our friends, and not having an agenda, because you don't have an agenda when you sit with your friends. You go with the flow and you meet the needs and you allow everybody, fair space and time without, looking at your watch going, okay, time's up, click. I mean, it's not like that. It's fluid. We thought we would have a group where instead of and for people that don't know, it's for people with dementia and their care partners, to live together. And one of the things that we got pushed back from initially was, well, you can't have them together. I'm like, well, where do you think they are the 99% of their day? They're together. Why can't we live graciously together? Why can't we have hard conversations together and still laugh and cry and support one another and hear about all of life, And so to me, when people say, what is a memory cafe, I tell them, to me, it's like a bowling league or a bridge club. You don't show up for the equipment, you show up for the camaraderie.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of the one thread, no matter how a cafe is structured, people feel part of a group. They feel part of a community. They feel purposeful, and they can walk in thinking, oh, I don't know if I want to go, or one wants to go and the other one doesn't. But I have found that if not after the first meeting, by the second meeting, I could push them in front of a news anchor and they would spill their guts and be one of the biggest advocates, where before they weren't even saying the word or admitting that they were dealing with that. I mean, it's astounding the changes, that happen. Our group grew from one group to 3 groups, and now we're down to 1 group, and we're doing that virtually. And some people, it's too complicated to attend. Some of them are even having trouble dialing in by the phone. And yet we still have a core group that gets a lot of value out of it. We would meet twice a month for 2 hours, and now we're down to twice a month for about an hour and a half, depending on the size of the group. But our group, like I said, has dwindled down, and people are like, well, what are you doing wrong? I'm like, we're not doing anything wrong. There's more groups around us popping up, and that's okay. We don't have to do it all, but right away it's like, what's wrong? And it's like, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. This is a good thing that they have more choice, and maybe there's a better day or time, or because we had people driving an hour one way to get to us in the beginning, and that's a full day time commitment, with something like that. And people shouldn't have to drive that far. So, I know here in the US, Dave has the Memory Cafe directory, and I believe there's over 900 of them now, not just in the US, but he's starting to pull other countries' lists together as well, and have other resources on there.
And remind me again, Lori, who had the very first memory cafe in America?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was yourself.
Yeah, that was, and Fox Valley was really close behind. And Jutta Ludwig had an Alzheimer's cafe, but that was a really different concept and a different name. And so, people can go, well, were you really? And it's like, you know what? I didn't say we were the first because it was an ego thing, but I wanted to get attention of people that there's a new service here and you need to look at it.
To
look at it. And so, that's really why I created Alzheimer's Speaks, was to raise the voice and to share resources all around the world, and from that, we got involved with the dementia-friendly community movements.
Yeah.
We launched that one. We were the first one in the U.S. to launch that, and that was in Wisconsin, not in my state, Minnesota, because I couldn't find anybody to buy in. But in Wisconsin, I did, and with the Lutheran Home Association, and that was astounding too, because it was kind of the same thing as the Purple Angel. People were like, well, you can't do it. We've been trying to do this for, years. And we had our big kickoff meeting, and people came from like 7 counties out to see what we were doing. And they're like, how are you doing this? How did you get started? We've been getting together for 2 years and we don't have a mission statement. It's like, kick it to the curb and just start doing something. stop with the criteria and just make a difference, you know?
I can say, even in public, and I will say this in public, that is one of the reasons why the Purple Angel was created, because I was heavily involved with another big organisation who shall be named nameless, but they probably know who they are. And every time I went to a meeting, they were talking about a meeting, and they never got anywhere. And then one weekend we met the Bishop of Crediton, or the Bishop of Exeter, that was it, in this big, massive place. And there was about 9 groups. And there was one particular group which was part of this bigger group. And they said, we are really pleased to say we've been going for 4.5 years now, and we have just come up with a name. And we were dumbfounded. We just like, you are Joe, really? 4 years? And you just come up with a name? I mean, we covered 30% of the country with the Purple Angel by the time it took them to come up with a name. It was incredible. And that's the reason why, one of the many reasons why the Purple Angel was born.
Yeah. Well, and it's so important. And that's like a perfect example too, because with these committees, people on the committees change. And so then it gets brought up again. And then it's like, oh no, let's go over here, or let's go over there. Or the word, you know, the word changes, you know, of, you know, what do we call something? And it's just like, leave it alone and we can educate from there. You know, we can give people other words to use, but it, you know, it's like move forward, because you're spinning your wheels and not getting really critical, valid information. I mean, even when we started using the word dementia, you know, there was a group in the US, and they're probably still out there, that, oh, that means demented. And it's like, stop looking at the dictionary. You know, let's educate what dementia is really about. It's about real people with real lives, and they're in all stages and ages, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just let's educate people from there, instead of trying to figure out the perfect word, just like people don't like the word senior. Well, you know, but everybody knows roughly what that means, even though as we age, we might not like being called a senior. You know, been able to figure out another name. So leave it alone and move forward and deliver services that matter. It's not about the title. You know, it's I don't know. I'm such a grassroots girl. You know, you know what I mean, I love being creative. I like taking a risk. I don't look at things as failure. I look at things as an opportunity. And if it doesn't work, hey, you tweak it, because if you're really going to serve people, you're always going to be tweaking it.
You've got to change. I mean, this brings us on perfectly to the Purple Angel and now become a charity. We was the largest community group in the world for years and years, and people said, oh, you've got to become this, you've got to become that. But I wanted to make sure we were established first, and Jane was fully compliant with this, and she understood, thankfully, what we meant. And we wanted to make sure that we were fully established. We had lots of things going on, you know, even before we even mentioned becoming a charity. It's taken us, it must be 18 months to push it through, because they didn't get us. They didn't understand. They'd say things to us like, we get lots and lots of questions, and they'd say things to us like, well, what do you charge for your membership in your cafe? And we said, we don't charge anything. All right, well, how many members have you got? Well, average 40 or 50 a week. And do they pay an annual membership? No. All right, well, how's that work then? And they didn't get it. And you know, we got to the stage where we wanted to say to them, I take it you do understand what the word charity means, don't you? You know, but you know, that's what it means, charity, you know. And we had a hell of a fight to get this through. We really did. We struggled for 18 months. But a couple of months ago, we got our charity number through, which was absolutely wonderful. I could sleep for a week after. And it helps in some ways, because if we have to purchase stuff like paperwork and things like that, you know, you don't pay VAT on it. So the money that we fundraise for ourselves, we'll be able to fundraise a little bit more and save a bit more because we don't have to pay certain things because we're now a charity. But apart from that, nothing else has really changed. You know, we're still we're still us, and we still do what we do, and we always will do. We always will do. It wasn't about the status; it was just making sure that we had that to cover our backs when anybody said, "Are you a charity or not?" We had the trolls saying, "Oh, such a body said you was a charity." I said, "Well, we've never said we are. Somebody else might have done, but we've never said we are. But now we can.
Yeah.
Now we can. We've got the number now, and now we can." So most things I write now, I put the charity number down there, and I'm quite proud to do so.
Yeah, I've always been told to apply for that, and my philosophy is there's enough nonprofits around. Nonprofits need to start embracing working with people for profit, and I'm for profit, but I'm telling you, I make a lot less money doing this than when I sold real estate. You know, and I invested all my life savings to do what I'm doing. I mean, I am invested, you know, knee deep in this, and but there's a mentality, anyways, in the U.S. of if you're for profit that you're not for the people, and yet a lot of the for profits are making less money than the nonprofit.
We don't make any.
and stuff. So it's very, very interesting. I want to talk about some of the other things that you're doing. We've talked about the Memory Cafe. We've talked about you know, being an ambassador is basically, you know, a title you can use that just says you're promoting awareness, basically. And you guys have a lot of wonderful tools for people to be able to use. Now, you've also started the MP3 program. So let's dive into that, because that has changed lives, and what you guys have done and who is using it is incredible. And before we go there, I have to mention these guys have gotten the Purple Angel on buses and trash hauling trucks. I mean, this is huge over there. It's not that big here in the US. You know, most places don't even have the sticker for the window because there's not funding, and they're kind of goofy around here too. They don't always like stickers, so we do them in frames. A lot of people do. But you guys, I mean, it's huge exposure over there, and now you're doing it with the MP3. So Norrms, tell us how that came about and what exactly you call the MP3 program.
Yeah, well, it is called exactly that. It's called the Purple Angel MP3 program. Excuse me, phone. You can always tell when it's live, can't you? I forgot to switch it off. Schoolboy error. It is the MP3 program, and it started in your wonderful country. It started in America with Wayne Mesker, and he started it doing recording things and recording favourite music by artists and giving them to other people with dementia. So I politely asked Wayne if we could do something similar, but do it our way, right? Because every country's different, you know. And I said if we could do it our way and tweak it a little bit, and he said, yeah, by all means, which was really, really good. And it has taken off immensely. We have the most heartbreaking stories of feedback, you know, coming back saying there's people who hadn't spoken to the husbands or wives for months, but once they got their favourite music on, they suddenly became awake and said, what are you doing here? You know, through a croaky voice. We have people who started drinking again. You know, the fluids, they're eating better. They've still got dementia, but they're getting all the vitamins, they're walking better, they're sleeping better. They're being used for during the night when the people are very unsettled. It settles them down. The amount of feedback we've got is a forest full, you know? And I have to say, hand on heart, we've done things at the Purple Angel, and I'm sure Jane will tell you, that have worked and that haven't worked, you know? But this has to be one of our biggest successes, because we are making a tangible proof to people's lives. We are seeing, people are sending us videos of people with the MP3s on playing, and singing word for word the songs, but they wouldn't have a conversation half an hour before that because they'd lost the ability to converse, you know. And we get so many videos and so many pictures like this, but it's been hard work. It's been hard work. We've had to do this. I've just spent the last day emailing personally, individually, over 55 care homes, saying, we have these. Would you mind, you know, do you want them? And they're absolutely, and people say, what's the catch? How can you give these away for free? Because they cost money. We say we do it through fundraising. And that's the way we do it. We have a huge care company that's just come on board now that started to take these. And the better news is we also supplied a lot of nursing homes and hospitals in Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, to COVID patients who was on the ventilators because the ventilators make so much noise. They had the MP3 players to calm them down while they were really, really poorly. And apparently it was a huge success. So I can honestly say, I'm sure Jane has something to say about it as well, but I can honestly say this has been one of the biggest successes we've ever done. And we will fight and fight and fight to raise funds for this. And we will carry on doing it because we can see the difference. When you get people saying, Norrms, you give me my mum back. My own mum come back. Might have only been for 10 minutes or for a week, and now she's passed away. It doesn't matter. I saw my own mum back to life. And that's the only reward we need.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure Jane knows the same.
Yeah, music is so powerful, and there's so much research behind this too. I know we have videos of my mom with a gal who was singing and playing guitar, and you know, she was gonna do a session for an hour. Mom only lasted about a half an hour, and I have probably, I don't know, 6, 7 short clips. And you know, she'd be sleeping, and then she'd wake up, and she'd smile, and her hands would start going. And you know, I can have the worst day of my life and just be at rock bottom, and I play one of those, and it just calms me down, and it softens my heart, and I'm just in a much better place after 2 or 3 minutes of watching her be so joyful. You know,
yeah, I think that's the reason why we do it, and the way we do it is they're bespoke. So these MP3s are individual to the person. It would be very easy, and I get emails so many times and saying, oh yeah, anything by Elvis Presley, anything by, you know, Little Richard, or Take That, or whoever. But the point is, we don't want any of those tracks to upset them, because music can take you to a wonderful place, but it can also take you back to a very sad place. So we try and ensure that we get the right music, and we ask for the songs that, as far as they're aware, are their all-time favourite songs with the artist, because we don't want to get the artist wrong either. You know, there are some artists that I love singing songs, and there are some artists I can't stand singing the same song. You know, so we do try to cover everything. You know, and it's worked. It's worked. It's incredible.
that's wonderful. Jane, I know you guys have worked with like the ambulance and things too with the MP3s, which again makes so much sense, because that is just a terrifying time for anybody, you know. And what's the response then for that?
For the ambulances, we've had great results with it. The service conducted a survey of it all, and they came back saying that it's reduced anxiety for patients in the ambulances by over 50%. If we can do that, it's wonderful. Yeah, I gather they can't use them in helicopter rescue situations because they have earphones on already.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have thought that the music could perhaps go through that headphone set. It's something else to look into in the future. There's always another idea.
Yeah. Well, and it's so powerful. And, you know, one of the things that I love about working in this dementia space is
I haven't found one thing that's good for dementia that's not good for everybody. You know, and so the practices in the ambulance doesn't have to just be for a dementia person. You know, it can be for anybody. Being kind, being patient, you know, giving somebody a few more seconds to respond. You know, those are all things that, you know, help us learning to let go of our need for control, you know, and be in the moment. I mean, those are all such positive lessons, you know, for all of us there. I wanted to mention, if people want to kind of see what the power of this music does, there is a video on YouTube called Alive Inside that really shows it. And there's a whole film that you can watch, like on Netflix or something like that. But it's amazing. And they take people with dementia, they take people with psychiatric disorders, post-traumatic stress, I mean, all different types of things. And you just see these significant changes almost immediately in these people. And then it shows over a longer period of time too, what happens. And not just to the person wearing the headphones, but let's say they're living in community, you see the whole room change, because the room sees, you know, maybe somebody who was crabby or who was agitated or who was just totally withdrawn, all of a sudden becomes alive, becomes pleasant, has a smile on their face, and the whole room sees that, and then they change and they, you know, they become believers, and it's just incredible. It really is this whole ripple.
We've had reports from hospitals in waiting rooms, and we all know how long and how boring that can be, where people have had their headphones on and singing, and the whole waiting room is joined in. They joined in with the singing.
Oh, very, very neat. Now, Norrms, you also do a lot of writing. Your posts are, you know, if you don't follow Norrms and Jane on Facebook, you should, because they are both such great resources. Norrms does a lot of writing, very honestly about his journey, and you know, he explains the good, the bad, the ugly. You know, his gratitude, what he'd like to see changed in the world. But they're just so authentic and so powerful. And you've written a few books as well. And you, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you write the song for the Purple Angel too? The Purple Angel has a song.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it has a couple actually. But yeah, for the original Rad, I wrote the song Within My Mind, yes, which is also available on YouTube. It was just put in Within My Mind, Purple Angel. You can listen to it there. And then we have a wonderful singer called Jennifer Bolton. I wrote the song. I co-wrote it with Jennifer and the producer John Purser, and that's called The Angels Will Listen on YouTube. So yeah, I love writing. I love writing songs. There is one in the offing at the moment, but it's not Purple Angel. It's just a love song, but it's the same producer that wrote the music for the Within My Mind. Rob Young is the musical producer, so we're working on one at the moment, shall we say? But it's not related. But I can't tell you what it is related to until we tell everybody.
Now, the other thing that we haven't talked about, the RAD program. So, Jane, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've been collating the events over the past few years, and they've steadily risen and risen. I think last year was 126 events. They're various in how they are. Some are big events, but a lot of them are smaller events in care homes, which is bringing music to residents in care. Some are actually private parties, but they can still be part of it because you're still raising awareness within your own party. Yeah, it's just carried on and carried on. We're working together with Wayne Mesker, as Norm said, and it was a great shame to have to cancel this year's events. I managed to get one done at my memory cafe, so I had two, one at the beginning of March and one at the end, and I had to cancel the one at the end. So that was a bit of a pity. I think there were a lot of events that were raising money for the MP3 players that never took place. So again, we've lost out quite a lot on the funding on that kind of thing. But it doesn't have to be about funding. You don't have to raise funds at all. It's literally just a musical event that you can take part in, have fun, and just raise awareness of dementia at the same time.
Some people will just have events in their home and just have friends over. I mean,
it matters not how small or big the event is. And as Jane said, it's not about the fundraising either. And we're not precious. If anybody would like to raise funds for the MP3s, please do. But if you'd like to raise funds for your own dementia charity, whoever it is, then please do that as well. You know, we don't mind. We really don't mind. As long as you just let us know what you're doing and on what date you're doing it, and we will put you on a world map. And we will tell the world that you've joined in. I think the hardest thing I had to do this year was to announce to everybody we had to cancel 121 events globally. I've never had to do that before in my life, and because it is a global thing, it was a hard thing to do. Mm-hmm. And I did leave it, but we had to do it. It was the common sense thing to do. But I'm sure, as Jane knows, and most people within the group know, we're going to bounce back bigger and better next year.
Yes.
And of course, we've got Jill Arsenal from the Philippines on board now. So we're hoping to have Malaysia, Japan, and other countries in Asia join us as well. So yeah, and we think it's going to be bigger and better.
Yeah, I haven't stepped up to do one of those, but we were working on trying to do one this year, and we were going from one size and it was starting to get bigger, and my gut was screaming, we can't do this. We're just not supposed to do this year. And I pulled the plug on it a little bit before COVID hit, and it's like, oh, this is why I pulled the plug on it. You know, my intuition was just screaming at me, this is not going to happen this year. And I didn't know why. But I've got a really nice team of musicians that are really excited about getting involved and things. So yeah, so hopefully next year, I don't know if we can get things under control here in the U.S. Where we're going, who knows?
Well, the first one we ever did, we held it at a huge Riviera Centre in Turkey, and it was attended by 18, maybe 19 choirs, and we had Lion Star, and we had major attractions, and we had hundreds. And because we're just self-funded, we had to pay to put that on, you know. And we had people donating for the tables and that. And it's a very, very little known fact, but we actually spent thousands of pounds putting that on out of money that people had donated. And when we counted all the pennies up at the end, we actually made £1.56 profit, which is about $1. And we actually made £1.56. Well, phew. And I promised my steering group I would never put them through it again.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we don't do it. We don't do it that big.
Yeah.
Just keep it small now, because it was a very worrying time. But we did get our money back, and it was well worth it, because 7 years down the line, and we're still doing it now.
Yeah. It's so fun to see all that you guys have accomplished, and I know there'll be more stuff coming, because that's just how you two work, you know, and it's neat. And you know, one of the biggest gifts that I've gotten out of Dementia Norrms was actually connecting with you. You've just been a life changer for me in terms of how I look at things. You helped empower me, and I always had the belief that we could do better. But watching you lead by example, and then sharing, you know, what is happening around the world has made me want to share even more what people are doing and how they're doing it, because there are so many wonderful resources that people don't know about because they're not in their backyard, because they're not in the phone book, if that even exists anymore, you know, and that mentality, I think, sadly still resonate significantly with a lot of organizations, that they think it has to be right here, and it really doesn't. You know, you can get great ideas, and people can start, you know, by taking ideas from other people, and not in a mean way taking, because because this is shared. I mean, people want to share. It's a whole different philosophy. It's kind of for the better good of the world, and then you customize it to what's really going to work in your area. What are your resources? What are your needs? You don't have to do it exactly the same, because, you know, no community is the same. And starting something is better than nothing, you know, even if we can get that mind frame passed along. Just
one step forward is better than one step back.
Yeah, or standing still, even, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to get people over the fear of failure, or what will people think. And, you know, my mind frame has always been, I would rather try than do nothing.
Me too. Fully 100%.
Yeah. So what's the website again for people?
www.purpleangel-global.com.
Well, sounds good. This has been a fun conversation. I can't thank you guys enough for taking the time and sharing your wonderful, wonderful work with the world. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having us, Laurie. It's always a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you to you, Laurie.
Oh, thank you.
You've done a lot to help us get this word out. A lot.
Yeah.
Well, good. I try. Like I said, that's the whole point of Alzheimer's Speaks, is to raise all voices and to level the playing field from the little guy to the big organization. People have the right to know all their choices and all their resources that are out there. And, you know, I will continue on with that. I just think that that's critically important.
Yeah.
Thank you. And no doubt Jane will be reminding you about March next year, Rod.
I've already decided Laurie's going to do a kitchen dancing session.
I'll do a TikTok. No.
Yeah.
I'll get my granddaughters in with me.